Welcome back to our channel. You missed out on this, it means you're not subscribed to the channel. So please make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on another free buy signal and more, because everybody that bought is currently in profit. Now let's get straight into the video. Now, so far for the day, XCN is at break even, so it's neither in the profit or it's neither in a loss. However, over the past 7 days, XCN is down 13.85%, 85%, and the market cap value is now at $535 million. So we've lost over $100 million in market cap value. And as you can see, we've pulled all the way back to support at 0.0158949. Now, I'm sure many of you that bought recently, or even those of you that have been holding from the lows that we've been giving out, are probably wondering what's happening. Is this the end of the road? Are we ever going to see a recovery? Firstly, the reason why we're seeing this sell-off, and I hope you will believe me now, is because Bitcoin is selling off. I told you all, there's a strong correlation between Bitcoin and the overall altcoin market. Now, when I posted this, many of you said, no, this isn't the case. Bitcoin has zero correlation to XCN. But you can see since the sell-off that we've seen since May the 3, we've seen altcoins across the entire market sell off. So the sell-off that we're seeing is not unique to XCN. And in fact, XCN is still outperforming the majority of altcoins in the market. So let's put it this way. If you bought XCN 7 days ago, you would only be down just over 7%. Whereas if you bought another project in the market, and again, just select it from your top 5 or your top 50 altcoin projects, you'll see that you would be in a deeper loss than you would if you bought XCN. So the overall market is currently underperforming. So number one, that's the reason why XCN has not had the greatest of performance. Now the question is, what happens now? And that's why you're all here, because you want to know what's going to happen next. Well, from my analysis, as we've entered a bull cycle, we called the bottom last month on April the 7th, right? We called it at the very low. I said publicly that any pullback that we see now will be brief and quick, right? So it'll be sorry, sharp, and very brief, right? So we'll see a deep pullback like the one we're seeing now. Now we could see Bitcoin actually pull back to 92, 93, which would of course bring XCN down a bit lower, but then we should see price snap back almost immediately. So I'm expecting a breakout on XCN at least before the end of this week, right? Why? Because I'm expecting Bitcoin to move back towards 95, 96,000, maybe even 98, 99 on the next major breakout, which should send XCN to the moon. And what that means for anybody that's new, that's watching this, and are looking for opportunities in the cryptocurrency space. Well, the good news is you get to buy XCN at the low. Now, you're not going to buy at the lows from the start of this year or even, the lows in April, but you get to buy in the lows in May, provided we don't see a further pullback. Now, I wouldn't enter straight away. I would be keeping a very close eye on Bitcoin. Now I would be looking for an entry on XCN before the end of this week because I am expecting price to recover. Now, let's say we see that recovery today. Well, the good news is we are looking at short-term moves of around 30, 50, even upside move of 86%. So the buyers that are buying around this zone are kind of in a win-win scenario because assuming you do not think the cycle is over, and if you do think the cycle is over, then why even hold XCN any longer? You might as well just sell it all, right? But presuming you do still believe that there's further upside move for the general market, well, then you have to look at risk versus reward. So let's say downside move. Let's say you buy from here and we could experience another 15 to 20% draw down, or even let's even go as, even more extreme and say we could be looking at a 26 percentage point drawdown. Now, all we have to look at is the risk versus reward potential, 26% drawdown, but an upside move from here, short term to 0.021152. 0.2152 is 30%. An upside move back to our, I was say highs in April, but our highs in April would be around 85, 86%. So yeah, let's just say upside moves for April, you're looking at 86%. So 25 to make 86%. Even if we go up to 0.0241329, 0.2411329, we're looking at 50%. So this is a great risk to reward player at the moment with so much potential. Now, of course, let's just roll things in because the majority of you guys watching this video right now are not in this for the 50 or the 85% point move. You're focused on the mega upside move. I'm going to answer the question on whether I believe XCN can still surpass its yearly highs. So well done for making it this far in the video. I do believe it can make its way towards its yearly highs at point FIDU 0.50292, and I actually think that will happen, irrespective of Bitcoin, hitting 120 or 140 or anything like that. I think this is actually a modest upside move for XCN of 209%. So this is not even a major or mega upside move. This is a fairly modest move. And in fact, with that being said, even a look at Bitcoin at the moment, let's just assume Bitcoin makes its way back towards, 197,000, 98,000. I actually think XCN will make its way beyond, well, not beyond this target, but at least halfway or close to this upside move, which means once Bitcoin hits its all-time highs, I think we will see XCN at least at its all-time high again, and then once this target is met, we then move into price. So the real opportunity with XCN at the moment is mainly for those of you that have been buying at the lows, have been in this since last year, or have been buying this at the start of the year. These are the people that are going to be the biggest winners in the XCN community. I just have to be very transparent with all of you. These are the people that are going to be making the 20, the 50Xs, the 100Xs, etc. But for the newcomers, there is still a 10X gain on the table. There's still potentially a 20X gain on the table. But your biggest obstacle is going to be how do you exit? Because the reality is the people that have been buying from the start of the year, once they make their 20X or so. So, for example, once XCN goes back to even 0.090431431, which isn't even back up to its all-time highs, that's a 30X. Many people that have been buying from the lows are going to take profit. This ice inevitable. They say they won't, but they will. 1,000 turns into $30,000. 10,000 turns into over $300,000. A lot of people are going to be taking profit. Now, your job is to make sure you don't get dumped on because towards this target, you're looking at 5X. Now, depending where Bitcoin is and the overall market is, we could potentially see another brief sell-off, right? Another major sell-off, and that will coincide with a lot of people profit taking. So in fact, if you made it this far in the video, you're an XCN holder, or you're planning to buy XCN and you want to know where I will be personally selling XCN, because I will be calling the top on this project, at least the short-term top, and then I'll be giving out the rebuy entry. If you want access to this, the link is in my description, right? I give out other altcoin projects, 100x plays, 300x plays. In fact, whilst the market is down, we're in projects right now that are achieving 30% gains, 40% gains. Don't forget, like Shrey, and subscribe.